you need on your super? Well, that list of things that you need first, you need all of that on your super bill. So all of your license numbers and location and all of that. And you put, the client name and the CPT code for what you did and the date and everything. And then the client can submit that. But I'll give you an example of why sometimes it's not that great. So TRICARE will only reimburse $25 for a group. So let's say, like, I do a group and it's a 3-hour group and it's $100 because, it includes a meal and everything. It's for eating disorders. So if the TRICARE person submitted that, they would get a percentage of $25, not of $100.
And the group can be 1 hour or 20 hours.
Right.
And if it's one group, it doesn't matter how long.
Right.
One group equals $25 reimbursement.
Mm-hmm.
So you could call that group 3 groups because it was 3 hours.
I've thought about if there's a way to do that because it is sort of like, I've thought about that. I don't know, will they reimburse for 3 groups in one day though? I'm not sure.
That's a good question.
But for some people, for an individual session, it goes well. Like, I know a lot of people who do this and it goes well and they get reimbursed quite a bit for the individual sessions if they have that coverage. I tried that and maybe it was the way I was explaining it. It seemed like it was just too complicated because I wasn't getting people. So it was like, I need to either take insurance or not take insurance and not get so complicated.
Where do you initially get the super bill?
You actually make it yourself. So there isn't, it just has to have that information. So I'll print out a copy of what I use for it.
That's great.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we're in a few minutes. We'll start talking about some of the forms that we use. We'll at least flip through the information that we have in here, and then we'll break for lunch.
The only thing I have left is showing on therapy notes how to do it. Do you want me to do that, or because I know I'm going way over on the time.
All right, it's been interesting. It's been informative, so I think we're doing good. Let's see here. Framework, online presence. Why don't, because we're going to show therapy notes anyway, so maybe we can do all the website stuff all together.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you all? Because we want to show you then therapy notes and some other things that we found really helpful. And for some reason from my laptop, the Mac, I can't show a video, so we're going to unplug mine and plug in Natalie's, and we'll do all the video stuff together, or website stuff together. Okay. Questions or comments about that? Again, our intention is to be practical and give you some good information, and it sounds like that's been really helpful to get you thinking. The next section has to do with ethics and then informed consent. And a lot of the forms that we've used are in this second section of the binder. So I want to take a few minutes to go into some of them. I had you tab 1. I've included some information about documentation in counseling records. That's the first couple of pages. I apologize if they're not numbered, but like I said, I started printing things out and they weren't all in one place. After that, I wrote up, there's a 2-page piece about what counseling is, because some people wanted to, I found it really helpful, because some people say, well, what's counseling really about? And then you can kind of take out different aspects of this. You're welcome to borrow it. And then I asked you to tab that place where it was my phone intake. That's what I call it. It's my phone intake form. And then the next couple of pages are the templates that I use. I love doing templates so if you ever have a chance to sort of template, and it might just be the first email that you write, create a template out of it. You can always adapt it from there. So 2 pages of that. And that includes, I do some volunteer work with Give an Hour. Give an Hour is for military folks and their loved ones. and it's a free service, it's free, so it's an hour a week, for whatever, so that's my commitment, once I start seeing a client, it's an hour a week and for a specified amount of time. It can be up to a year. So, I obviously take a limited number of people, but that's my give back. And then, the next page is actually a marketing letter. You can see the old address that I have, that's Beach Council, that was one of the first addresses that I had for private practice. And, this was for a resident that had already a good list of contacts, that wanted to let people know that, she was available for referrals. And then the important thing is to follow up on this. And I think that's how the two of you got connected, right? Sandy, you and Natalie, she sent an email or a letter that says, this is what I do. So it it helps, it works.
And I got invited to do some presentations based on some emails I sent, about eating disorders.
So that's the networking and marketing piece, making sure that you let people know. And honestly, sending information directly to folks versus taking out an ad, please learn from I don't want to call it a mistake, but you put a lot of money into ads, don't do it. It doesn't pay off, honestly, it really doesn't. So you're better off sending a letter or an email directly to somebody that says, I'd love to speak with you. That's that's networking and doing some direct marketing.
And I've been told that like large scale mail outs, physical mail outs don't work. And actually I did one just because I sort of had the time and I got some really cheap stuff on Vistaprint. Nothing came of it, which was, that's kind of what I expected.
So who did you send to? How did you come up with your list of folks?
I ran through all of the dietitians in the area as far as eating disorders, anyone who had anything to do with eating disorders, pediatricians, anyone who had anything to do with trauma.
Okay.
So that was not effective. What worked for me was more.
Wasn't expecting that.
Right.
Sounds like a great strategy.
And it didn't work. I think you need to be more personal. So the more personalized emails that I sent, like I did the college counseling centers, and it was specific to eating disorders because I know they probably need help with that. And it was more about how can I help you. And I think it's just easier for someone to respond to an email, and then we built real relationships, not just I sent you this piece of paper and never.
Right, follow up with a phone call, you can offer to come in and say, I'd love to talk to you about my practice. I found that when I worked in a university counseling center, when somebody came and talked to us, I started, that knowing who that person was made all the difference in the world. So I think that's true for any referral, making sure that you go face to face with people.
So I think do make that list of all the people, but make a more personal contact.
Now, what about a short personal note versus an email? Any thoughts on that?
I haven't done that, but maybe if it was someone that like people I've met through you or like at a workshop or something, like I met you at, that's how I connected with Rachel. You sent a follow-up email after we met at a conference.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I always have cards with me. I think a lot of people contact me because they're like, oh, somebody give me your card, or my card has my website on the back, it's yogacounselor.com, which I'm gonna have to change now.
It has
That's
it,
what
yeah.
a counselor in it. So, but yeah, people will call or email me and say, I saw your website, or somebody told me about you, but I hand out my cards wherever I go, and they have my picture on them.
And so here, Sabrina left a whole stack of them. And I keep a whole stack of hers because I really like referring people to her. And we actually have one of the handouts in here is 99 ways to market your practice, and one of them is don't give people just one business card. These are freaking cheap, and people will hold on to business card for years. So give them more than one. So that they can pass them on. And you can even say, hey, why don't I give you a couple and you're welcome to pass on one to somebody else.
Is there a company you guys have found for business cards that you like?
Yes,
Vistaprint
Vistaprint.
is dirt cheap.
Dirt cheap, yeah, and they run specials, you can get 20 for, sometimes they do half price, sometimes
Sometimes they do free stuff.
Sometimes they do 250 for free. You pay for shipping, which is like $15. So you get 250 for $15. Easy, really easy. And I keep going back through them. I use them for a variety of things. I think I have a couple of examples of how I've used them, but lots of different ones. One of the ones that I use for art, and because I do some photography too.
You too.
Surprised? Are you surprised? Is Moo. It's moo.com, as in like MOO.com. And what I like about Moo is that their business cards are heavy. They're heavy duty. For someone, for like, I would think for yoga, like for you, Rachel, you could actually have up to 50 different images on one side, on the side of the card, and the other side is the same. So you upload different images, and I would think for you it's like a different yoga pose per card. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So and I know, right? And then they also have mini cards, and I'll pull some out so I can show you. They're like half the size of these. They're like this size.
Yeah.
And it's just different, right? So again, I can upload up to 50 different images if I want. They're a lot more expensive. So for 100 cards, it's like $30. So do you hear the difference? I don't get as many cards, but there's some value in that. So to hand out a picture of a different, like that's a talking point, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then there are other companies that will make business cards.
I make my own.
You make your own?
And the reason why I haven't ever ordered cards, ever, I've never, but now I might, is because with me, I was like, oh, do I call myself a resident in counseling? And do I show, all of my businesses? Do I only show one? And it was kind of always changing for me. And I like being able to print out like one sheet. I got, one thing from Office Snacks,
Yeah,
like
you
a
can
bunch
do
of
that.
cards. I have a printer.
Mm-hmm.
I always just print them in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I would change up the card depending on what I thought would be good. And then I didn't have like a box of 250 cards that I had to throw away or like store somewhere. So for me, that's been great, but
And I just kept buying
I want
little
something prettier.
250 packs, and it's like, okay, I can buy the big one now. But I have a whole bunch
Yeah.
before I was licensed here. It does change.
Yeah. So there are different ways to go about it. I think when I first started, I printed my own as well.
I never put my address on it because at the beginning I moved 4 times before I learned it here. So.
Yeah, the nice thing too about Vistaprint is that you can change. You even though it doesn't look like the templates are adaptable, they totally are. Like if there's a line that you don't want to use, you don't have to use it. If you just leave it blank, it won't show. And frequently what I'll say is offices in Virginia Beach and Norfolk, period. I don't put an address down on them. And so that really helps.
Why do you do that? Just in case your address changes, or just because you really don't
Some
want your address
privacy,
up? Private,
because I don't want people showing up in my office.
Okay,
I don't have a secretary. I don't want people just showing up.
okay,
Not for private practice.
okay.
And on my art business card, I don't have an address at all. It's my home address.
I think you're dying. Your neighbor's dying.
Is it? I thought it plugged
It's
it
a
in.
what a battery. I don't want to interrupt you.
Crap.
The other thing on Vistaprint is you can print on the back, and so I put my specialties on the back. Just 4 little lines or something, so people can know.
Right.
You could do like appointment time, like you mentioned.
Some people
Right.
do that.
And there's some templates for
Mhm.
appointment time. So on Vistaprint, you can actually look up different kinds of templates, and they have thousands of different templates that you can use.
can we all exchange cards if we have them?
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. So then that's another thing for all of us to think about. Always, always, always have your business card with you. I stuff them in everywhere. I keep them in my car, I have them in my glove box, just in case I run out of my wallet or wherever else. And I tuck in, you know, those little, I think Connie's got something right there. I tuck little things like that in different pockets of anything that I have, so that I always have business cards. And when I go to a conference, here's a tip. What I do is I actually, you know, you get your conference badge.
Yeah.
I put a handful of my business cards in my conference badge, so that when I meet somebody, I'm automatically pulling it out, and when I meet somebody else, I'll make a note about anything with them, and I put it right back in that badge so that they're all in the same place. All right, so let's see, where are we in terms of forms, so that you know what you've got, because there's a lot that's here. You've got a copy of Natalie's disclosure statement, and it will look very similar to mine.
And mine.
And yours,
Not
right?
after yours, but I did add something, so I can talk about that.
Yeah, so what you did is you created a header for yours, so your the header is on every page.
Yeah, actually, maybe that's not necessary, maybe that's making it longer.
It's making it longer. Yeah.
I've
definitely.
been thinking about shortening my first page. I think it might be a little bit too, I don't think people are really reading it.
Yeah, I don't think people will read it all, but at least it's there. But you can see that she's got fees, method of payment, insurance, so there are different sections in it that are really helpful, especially emergency contact, complaint procedures. That's, I think, helpful and required. And then she also did some research about, this is, there's a page on insurance.
That's important, so if you have someone who has insurance, but they're choosing not to use it, you wanna have that documented.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not just breaking your contract and not filing it, they chose not to use it.
Mm-hmm. And then I think it's important to have now an email and texting policy that people sign.
And I'm gonna change this based on some new stuff I've learned.
Oh, good. Okay.
I might keep the policy, but what I've learned is we really should take it a step further and use confidential emailing and texting, which I'm just learning about. So I might start keeping a list of things that I can email,
Oh, yeah.
like resources of,
Mhm.
but emailing and texting,
Mhm.
confidential. I don't think this is covering me enough for using my Gmail.
Yeah, because there's some new ethical standards for counselors. I'm not sure for social work, but that's something to certainly look up to see that you're meeting the standards, and for psychology as well. Because the different professions will have different levels of standards, so you want to make sure that you double check your ethical code and see what, standards of practice to see what are required now. So there's a HIPAA form too, and that's a couple of pages with Natalie's, and then we get into the client forms there. So that's a pretty big packet.
Yeah, I wanna cut it back to this.
Yeah, I take the header off because I think that's what's making it so long.
One thing I do, I don't know if you do this or not, but in the new client form, I get their email and I ask if I can add them to my newsletter. And
I have that on, yeah, I have that on here. So you'll see, then right after that, I actually gave you a copy of what I use with GivenHour, because it's a little bit different than the other things. I try to keep it to as few pages as possible. So this one's 5 pages. It has some information about what counseling is from my perspective, confidentiality, dual relationships, how long sessions are. These are the practical questions that clients typically want to know about. They typically don't read this stuff though. They just don't, but you still have to have it in writing.
the body-based one, body-based influence and
I think I might not have.
Okay,
I
I can
might
do
have
that
missed it.
too, cause I
Okay.
thought that might
Oh,
be.
here's one for yours, Natalie. Informed consent for body-based intervention.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Where'd you find that?
It's further down.
It's further back.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and keep flipping through. I made some changes to how I was gathering information, from clients in order to make the form shorter. I created blocks for people to fill in, and made it a PDF document so that it would mess up the formatting and that people then just go and write it and print it and bring it in. So I send forms ahead of sessions so that when I book a session and I say, oh, our session's at 9 o'clock, and then I don't have to say, well, please come in at 20 till 9 because it's gonna take you 20 minutes to fill out this form. I'll send it, and over the phone I say it'll probably take about 15 or 20 minutes for you to read through and fill out the form. So that their appointment is really at 9 o'clock, not at 8:40, you know. I'm trying to be mindful of people's time. I just added this other form that's a checklist of difficulties. I'm starting to use that now.
I post mine on my website and I tell them to
Download
print it and bring it in, and 90% of them do that. So, because I was emailing so many times,
Mhm.
now I just have it posted the one time.
That's great. That's good. There's also a couple of pages that is, you know, I made the choice not to contract with managed care for professional services. Here are 8 reasons why. That came from a blog that somebody had done, and I really liked
It's
it.
a really good blog.
Yeah.
All men's private practice.
Yeah. And then I included an intake form that is this combination of what I have used in a variety of places. And you can see that that one's 6 pages. And that would be for me to fill out in the first session. I also included some other templates. Again, I love templates. So a no-show if a client doesn't get back in touch with me, or closing a file form to notify them. Oh, here's the body base.
Oh, okay. I just sent out the, basically discharge letters, you know, I haven't seen you in over 30 days, and I'm reaching out to see if you need to come back in. But if I don't hear from you within this amount of time, I'll close you. And I heard back from somebody and they wanted to schedule again.
So really, just in terms of, again, this is about, therapeutically, we need to make sure that we're closing a file. But on the other hand, this is good business practice because this is about inviting people back in. I've had any number of clients do the same thing. It's like, oh, I just haven't had a chance to. The other thing that happens is that if I have a client who has said, well, I just need to, how about if I really can't schedule a next appointment. So when that happens, I say, would it be okay if I called you in 6 weeks from now or a month from now or however, well, I'll decide, and just check in with you. And here's what that phone call is going to be like, so that they know that I'm not going to be saying, why aren't you coming in? So the phone call sounds like, hi, you know, we agreed that I would check in with you just to see how you're doing. I assume that you're doing well. Because I wanna assume that, and if they're not, they'll call me, right? So give me a call if you want to schedule an appointment. If I don't hear from you, I'll close your file, but I'll send you an email that says that. Period. That's it.
That's a nice thing to do that I haven't been doing because so many clients drop off. It's like, well, I don't know my work schedule yet, I'll have to call you back, and then they disappear. So that's a nice touch.
So when I know that, that's what I do. And even if they just sort of disappear and I haven't had that, then I still make that sense. Yeah, and what I do here, I love these phones. I put in my calendar, call so-and-so if they haven't. That's my clue to make that phone call. There's also a release of information form that you're welcome to take a look at. And then there are a couple of articles. One was a special issue from the Journal of Mental Health Counseling that is about private practice and spotlighting the mental health counselor in private practice. And then the American Counseling Association has some awesome resources, and I mean, just wonderful resources for private practitioners, if you're a member. So there's actually a whole document on starting a private practice that may cover some things that we haven't covered. So it's really good stuff in here. And then there should be one, there's one on what brand is your therapist. So after that, starting a private practice, which is what, 8 or 10 pages, 10 pages, then this is about branding. I ran into this just actually, it probably says when it was in July of 2014. And it was a piece that was in New York Times. I really, I was
read
able to
that.
gain some things. Did you?
Yeah,
So it had some good information in it,
yeah.
I thought. So I thought I would pass that on to you all too. So I wouldn't have forms if I hadn't found them from somebody else. And I am happy to share the templates of the forms that I have with you all. And
Yeah.
Natalie has said hers are online, so
Yeah.
are they in Word or PDF?
PDF.
They're PDF. So if you want a Word version to be able to modify, just let us know. We'll be happy to share those with you. I would be.
Yes.
You're- okay.
Thank you.
Most of mine came from yours. I have some stuff from that I borrowed from other people.
Mhm.
I mean, I added like, what if they ask you to come to court and all of that stuff, which was
Oh,
mainly
totally.
meant as a deterrent. Like, I got advice from someone to make it a really ridiculous
Extraordinary,
thing.
yeah, that's what, yeah,
Yeah, so that they won't,
If they ask you to go to court.
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so if you take a look at Natalie's initial one, there's that piece in there about how much she would charge if she was subpoenaed.
And I know it sounds ridiculous, and it's supposed to.
$1,200 for half a day.
Is that what I have?
That's, I was reading it, I was like, I need to put that in mine now. I used to have things like that in my stuff, but I took that out, but.
I think I had someone come and I was like, well, this might go to court.
Right, yeah, so it certainly helps to have that information in there. It's that informed consent. I'm letting you know what my policies and procedures are up front. And in agreeing to work with me, you're also agreeing to my policies and procedures.
And I don't know if I say this in there, but one of my supervisors, as far as going to court, said that he has the discussion, like, I'm not an expert in that. It's gonna be in your best interest not to have me, because the lawyer's job is to basically make me say things that are gonna make you look bad. You know, regardless of our work or my opinion, it's not your best interest. 'Cause that's true.
It is, and so on a similar note, actually, I had somebody who I've not supervised directly, but I've had some interactions with over the years, another professional counselor who has been subpoenaed in a really messy case. And she got scared because, of course, what these attorneys also do is to have you running circles around yourself. And she was scared about going to court, and I said, what she didn't realize is, I said, that's what your liability insurance is for. Like, you have an attorney because you have a liability insurance. And she hadn't even thought about that. You know, she's been paying liability insurance for 20 years, never accessed it, and she was like, they offered to go with her to all kinds of, so she's got this extra support she didn't even know she had, but she'd been paying for. So I want you to know that you've got support that you probably aren't even aware of. And it's been really helpful for her. So that attorney did all the things that attorneys are supposed to do. You know, continued, said this is a restraint, you know, all kinds of things to keep her from going to court. That's what you want. So we have just a couple minutes before lunch. And I want to see what comments that you might have, and then also talk about where to find lunch. We have allotted about an hour and 20 minutes. Do you think,
Places that are-
well, yeah, places that are close to here.
Okay, if you continue down Independence, like towards Town Center, at Hagen, there's a sandwich place called Gourmegan, it's like a drive-through, that's good. There's Chick-fil-A.
There's a Mexican restaurant right in that, shopping.
There is, Plaza
Center.
Azteca is fast, there's a sushi place in there that is pretty fast, I think. If you went down Short Drive, so like in the other direction, Taste Unlimited is down there too.
Oh, right. Or can you, is that Pleasure House Road that takes people to?
Yeah, so you would go down Pleasure House and take a right on Shore
Mhm.
Drive.
Mm-hmm. So there are places that are relatively close, and relatively quick. So at the very latest, we'll start back at, so it's about 12 o'clock now, 1:30. So I'm giving you a little bit extra time so that you can digest on every level. Okay? So take your time and please make sure to be back here no later than 1:30. Okay? Questions or comments?
This is great, this is helpful.
Lots of stuff. Is your head pounding?
It feels easier to digest to me today rather than coming from work.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I feel like I'm thinking more clearly today.
Good. Okay. Good. Thanks for that. So we'll see you in about an hour and a half. If you want to stay here and eat a little bit, you're welcome to do that. One or the other of us will be here, and enjoy. Okay. We'll pull out cards. I didn't bring my power cord, so I can't put that there.
Oh, okay,
So we got yours though, and I emailed the PowerPoints to you. So.
Yeah.
I didn't charge last night.
I was thinking, mine are on the table when you walk out.
Okay, good.